This is the KUAM Podcast Network Off the Record, where nothing is. In this episode, we're sharing the story of Jackie Cabrera, a former Guam resident who lost her vision overnight after complications from type 1 diabetes.
But she didn't let that dim her light or humor. With all smiles and a positive mindset to accomplish anything, Jackie learned how to navigate the world from scratch and even became the first and only totally blind student to graduate from Portland's Western Culinary Institute. This is her story of how she turned her loss into light and how she's helping others do the same. Welcome to another episode of Off the Record, where nothing is. I'm Nevaeh Anderson.
And I'm Mitsuki Hirayama. And we are joined here by a very amazing woman, Miss Jackie Cabrera.
Half a day.
All right, so we're here in this month of October. We'll be in November now by the time this is airing. But for us, it's still October, and it's Disability Awareness Month.
Yes.
And we're so happy to have you here to kind of talk about the importance of this month and to hear more about your journey.
Oh, wonderful. Well, first of all, I'm quite honored to be here to join you all in this podcast. And I listen to you all back in Washington State as I try to I always make sure that I said, when I come to Guam, I'm going to look at you guys.
Welcome to our studio.
And it's really quite an honor to actually meet you guys now in person. And, as you may know, I'm totally blind, but I have the tendency to follow your voice. So I'm going to keep looking at either you or Nevaeh whenever you guys talk. So anyhow, yes, it is Disability Awareness Month here in the month of October. And also we have White Cane Day, which is celebrated on October 15th. And which we had just our first annual of the White Cane Day 2K, 5K that we had last week, October 19th, and it was a Sunday sunrise. Sunday also at 6 o'clock. We actually, though, left off a little bit after 6 o'clock because we had all our blind participants because they're also very musically inclined. We had sung the national anthem in the Guam hymn, and then we did the Bendisyon. Wanted to give that song of blessing to all our participants, and we had a whopping number of over 300 participants that came out to support us. I really did not expect that. I just thought, I was just sharing with Jen earlier that I almost felt like I was in the stock market, because when we first started with the registration, they were like, okay, Auntie Jack, you have 100. I said, oh, that'll be good. That's a good start. And then they said, all right, we're up at 150. I was like, 150? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's good. And then they go, 165. I said, okay, kept going higher. Then finally, it was really something. And like I said, I was even like 150. Okay, we're good. 165. Then they get me. Then I get a message from the vice president of the Guam Running Club. Congratulations, girl, you're over 200. I was like, oh my gosh, over 200. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. We get over to Chamorro Village in the morning, and as soon as they started the registration, you're at 250. I was like, wow, 250? I was like, okay, good. 280. I'm like, 280. And by the time I got up over to the front where we were going to start, the president of the Guam Running Club holds my shoulder and says, congratulations, you have reached over 300 participants. Wow. It was like, I felt like I was just on cloud 9. Just felt like a big festival, and it was just amazing. Just the energy and just the crowd, just being there. The kids. So I have 11 visually impaired and blind people that I have been working with since I got here in the last month of March this year, and we all have different eye conditions. There's only 2 of us that became blind from diabetes. The rest were from a sporting accident, and I just shared with Jen earlier, one was had lack of nutrients. Some were born blind, and some have low vision. I have one boy that has peripheral vision only on one eye and is blind on the other eye. So it's just really amazing, our kids that I call them kids because I'm so much older than all of you guys actually. So, but it's just been amazing with working with all of them. And so I shared with Jen earlier, they all did, and this is the first time they actually had blind people in the actual race.
Wow.
So it was amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it just goes to show like how big the support is on island and how much people
Yes.
are part of that community and
Yes.
supporting that community.
Yeah, it was really something. And my kids were like, Auntie Jack, how many people? I said, I don't see anybody here. And it's just like, neither do
She
we.
did warn us. The blind jokes are gonna keep on coming throughout this podcast.
Yeah, and it is really, yeah, it's really something, because humor, right? Having humor, that's what actually keeps me going. I love to joke even when I have my eyesight. And I used to work at George Washington High School. I was a school eight there, a school eight
Go
three.
Geckos.
Yeah, so yes, go Geckos. And so, what do you call that? I not only worked with the regular students, I've also worked with the special needs. And so I had a feel of both sides, and also used to do the ones with special needs that were ready to go out in the working arena. I used to job coach them, and so it was really nice to be able to get that experience. And then I also became, I had no knowledge how we were going to work Special Olympics, but I was volunteered to, can you do this? I'm like, sure, I'll do it for 1 year, and ended up coordinating George Washington High School Special Olympics for 8 years in my sighted life. Yeah, so it was amazing. Again, all kinds of disabilities that I had, but it's just amazing to be able to see from where I came from and where I'm at today. So, yeah, it's been really awesome. I mean, so far, and the kids that I have now with them, they all have. I've never met them before until last summer when I came back home. I coordinated a family reunion here, and we had 35 of my family members come in from the States, and they wanted to celebrate the liberation here. And they just thought that the liberation was the coolest thing. And these were family members that never been here to Guam. They were born and raised in the States. They enjoyed the parade. And the biggest highlight for them was because I also coordinated I chartered a bus, and we went around the island.
Wow.
And guess who was their tour guide?
You.
Et moi.
Oh, wow.
So I said, all right, you guys ready for this tour? They said, sure. I said, all right. Welcome to Turtle Tours. Everybody sit back and relax. And now as we take off, this is what we're doing. If you take a minute and turn to the left, what do you see? Nothing.
Okay.
Now turn to the right. What do you see? Nothing. Now keep your head straight. What do you see? Nothing.
Oh my gosh.
Get off the bus. Your tour is now complete. They're like, oh my gosh. They just had it. And they were just like, oh my gosh, because they all know me, right? Obviously. And these were all just my first cousins in their families, my first and second cousins. And there was like 60 of us packed in that bus.
Wow. What a way to be introduced to Guam with Liberation Day,
Yes,
too.
it was. It was amazing. So now in a couple of years, we come back again for another family reunion, because I would host it every other year in Washington. And so they came up for my 50th birthday. And so we had a little mini reunion. And so they said, Auntie Jack, where are we going next? I said, it's up to you guys. You guys tell me, because my job is just to coordinate. And so one of my cousins who had always been wanting to come to Guam says, do Guam? I said, sure. And all 35, there's actually more that wanted to come. So I think on the next reunion, we're going to have more. And they just everybody left with such a warm, fuzzy, and blessed feeling. And now they want to come back. And so,
That's really sweet.
yeah. So it's, I've been in Washington for like almost 22 years, and it's been wonderful. But today makes 7 months that I've been here since leaving Guam. I'm excited to go back because I belong to an amazing community there at Sacred Heart in Lacey, Washington. But I'm also torn because I'm really enjoying myself here in Guam, being back home. But I think a lot of it has to do with what I'm doing here now, with the purpose and the need here in our island.
We do want to hear more about your journey, because I believe you mentioned earlier that your blindness is connected to your diabetes.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes,
so,
that is
So
correct.
how did how did it
Like progress over time.
Yeah.
And
how old were you when it
Okay,
happened?
so I believe I was a diabetic since a very young age, but I was diagnosed at age 11.
Wow.
So yeah, and how it started actually was my bladder almost erupted. And so I had gone into, my mom took me to the doctor, and we went in, and so they did a urine test. And so I couldn't really walk. You know, I was like kind of hunched over because it was so painful. And so the doctor said, let's do a urine test. And so they took me in, and then the doctor says, can you bring her back in 2 hours, you know, after the results come in? And so my mom says, sure. But not even an hour later, when we went back home, the doctor had my mom bring me to the hospital, to Guam Memorial. And so my mom started to panic because she's like, why do we need to go to the hospital? And then he said, please bring Jacqueline there to the hospital because we need to check her again. And so my mom brought me into the hospital. I went in through the emergency room, and then they did all that. You know, when you're at 11 years old, you don't know all these things that's going on. So I started to freak out, like, Mom, what's happening? What's happening? And so she said, the doctor just wants us to come here. They're going to do more testing. Well, they already had a room for me up in the 4th floor. It was at the time. And so I went in. They did blood work, only to find out that my blood work was up at almost 1,000, my sugar.
Wow.
Yeah, so the doctor said that your daughter would have been comatose in probably even a matter of a couple of days or less. So the minute that they took me in, did my blood work and stuff, they started me on insulin right away. So I was on insulin twice a day. And so the first week, they teach you how to shoot your insulin into different parts of your body. And so I stayed in there for 1 week so that they can get it controlled. And so, so since then, I was on insulin twice a day. And so which led me up all the way till, because I have now been blind for about 25 years. So about 25 years ago when I lost my eyesight, and I'm not sure if you know this, I lost my eyesight overnight.
Wow.
Yeah, so just woke up one morning and couldn't see out of my right eye. And my left eye had blurred. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Because I was just fine the day before, and I was using glasses, but you know, you kind of think maybe your eyes feel heavy because you've been on the computer all day.
Right.
And because I also used to work at the office at George Washington High School. And so I went in, I went to SDA because I used to go there, and only to find out that my insurance wasn't covered. I don't know if you remember, there was Pacific Care back in the day. They didn't cover it anymore, so they told me that I had to go find another doctor, which led me to Island Eye Center, where my mom actually used to be seen there by Dr. Andrew McDarby. And so when I went in, they took me in right away. But the problem was that it was almost closing. And so they said, are you okay if you come back tomorrow morning? So I had to get a driver, to bring me there. They checked me right away to find out that I had a retinal detachment on my right eye.
Wow.
Yeah, and so they were supposed to send me to Hawaii, but it happened that the specialist was coming in from Hawaii. So I just waited, and so because he was coming in the following day, so they did an emergency surgery. So I had a 3.5-hour surgery. Wow. And I was kind of scared, obviously, but it didn't, when you're kind of like in shock, it doesn't really hit you at the moment. So we went through the surgery, and I was still joking in the surgery room because the doctor was like, he wanted to know my history. I shared it with him. So when I was laying down on they have a surgery room at Dr. McDarby's clinic. So I'm laying down there on the table. So whenever you're having an eye surgery, they don't make you sleep.
Right.
You have to be awake. And so they had numbed me and they gave me anesthesia and that stuff. That was my first time I've had anesthesia like that. So I was like, oh, what's happening? So I was talking like I was. So they explained to me what they were going to do. So as I was laying there, they actually had popped my eyeball out.
Oh,
wow.
Did they tell you they were going to do that?
Yeah, and so you can't feel anything because everything is all numb, right? And so I just felt a little pressure. And so what happened was they popped the eyeball out, and then because what they do is they put a buckle and they try to reattach your lining. And your lining is the one that makes you see, right? And so obviously when it's detached, in some cases they catch it early. And I think in mine it was probably already late because it happened overnight, right? And so while the specialist was doing that, and so I was laying there, and so of course my head, he goes like this. He goes, oh, like he just made a certain sound. And I was like, Doc. And
That doesn't sound good.
yeah, and then he's like, and I'm under anesthesia, so I was like this. You okay? And he goes, yes, Jacqueline, we're good. And I said, you still got my eye? And he goes, yes, Jacqueline. And okay, he's trying not to laugh because he tells me all of this later. But I was just like, I just wanted to make sure. And then
Are you sure?
Yeah. Then he goes like this. He goes, yes, Jacqueline, we're good. And I said, good. Because I want you to know that whatever you do and wherever you go, I got my eye on you.
Oh. I don't know if I should be laughing at this, but
Well, it of course at the time because the doctor was like, oh, I need to take it. I can hear him breathing really hard.
that's when your blind joke started.
Oh, that's when it was just like, and on the nurses, of course, as I got to know the nurses, oh my gosh, they were just like, did she just say that? Oh my gosh, yeah. So I think, and it was just part of, I guess that it's just part of me. Humor has just always been, and anybody who knows me, and how I cope, and so anyhow, after the surgery, so they have to patch you up and stuff, and then you have to. So my head actually had to be face down like this, 6 straight weeks, 24/7. It was terrible. It was, and back in the day, they didn't have those face pillows.
Oh.
So my dad had a table that he made high enough, so the most comfortable way for me was to just lean over and just kind of put my head up high because I had to, keep my eye away from the pillow, but still keep it. So whether I was eating, whether I was showering, no matter what I was doing, my head had to actually be face down. So hoping that the vision would come back, but the vision never came back. So meantime, riding in the car, going for the follow-ups and stuff like that, can you imagine riding the car from Barrigada to Tamuning with our roads here in Guam?
Oh, with all the potholes.
Yeah, so my head would, just like this. So I developed really bad motion sickness after that. And so when I finally was able to lift my head after 6 weeks, the vision still never came back. Then I went in because they were going to try to see what they can do for this eye, my left eye, because it was already blurry, and they wanted to see if they could get me a magnifier. In 10 minutes, as I was sitting waiting for the doctor, I just started to see all these black streaks come out, and they were just kind of like swaying all over. So my sister-in-law was with me, so I would look at her, and she had black lines all over her face. So I even went as far as touching her face, like, why do you have those black lines on, right? And then she's like, what black lines? I said, you look like you have black lines on your face. She goes, no, I don't. And then I said, yeah. And then I looked down, they have black lines on her arms. And then I just kept going around like this. And I looked at the person next to me on my right, had black lines. And it was just like swaying all over. Then all of a sudden I started to see flashes come out. I was thinking, wow, maybe this is going to be a miracle. Maybe the flashes are going to mean that I'm going to see again. Only to find out that the flashlights are your tissues ripping in your eye, and in that 10 minutes, my left eye went down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was like somebody just pulled the drapes on you. And I was like, oh my gosh. So of course, so it left me with just a very tiny peripheral that, that lasted only like less than a week. So before, if you were talking to me like you were there, I would actually be like this. I'd be talking this way, but I'm trying to look at you with whatever I could see. And it didn't last, and then I became total right after that. So, yeah. So
and it must have been, like, super tough. I can't even imagine, like, overnight, and then while you were waiting for your doctor's appointment, literally.
Yeah. It was really crazy. It was, and maybe trying to just recover from this surgery, your mind, I do have to tell you that losing your eyesight later in life, it's not the physical part that's the problem. It's the mental and emotional. And I don't know if any of you guys have family members or maybe any close friends or, have you guys ever been around blind people?
Personally, I haven't. How about you?
I have a few classmates in school who are visually impaired.
Yes.
And,
Wow. What was that like for you? Do you know if they were born blind or were they?
The aides that were, helping them at school, they never really allowed us to talk about it just in case it, made them feel bad or made them feel sad or anything or upset.
Yes.
But, there are just other students in the school, and we have class with them, and we do what we can to, make it an environment where they don't feel othered or like, they're just another student, and they're our friends. So
Yeah, well, really, I think that's really wonderful because, okay, I'm not going to speak for all blind people, but I will speak for at least most of them, the ones that I do know. We just want normalcy, right? We just want to be treated as normal as possible, right? Because people will say when they, some people can be like, wow, so you're blind. Oh my God, what is it like not to feel normal?
Oh.
I said, I don't know about you, but I'm very normal. It just happens that I can't see, but I do everything just like you, just in a different way, So I can tell you I basically do everything except for drive.
You actually do more than me because I heard you're an amazing chef.
Now that's what brings us now to another level. Yeah. So it was really something because after I remembered that when my vision, of course, one of them is you have to accept, right? Before. I mean, even as you're going through all the grieving process, right, with anger and whatever it may be, depression and all that. One thing I am grateful for is I didn't go through depression. And I think a lot of it had to do with the support that I had and from friends and families that, their love and their care was there. The hard part, though, for me was, and I just shared with Jen, was the resources, right? The resources are very lack here in Guam. And, you go in and you have the hopes of, okay, this is my new life now. Maybe they can help me. But nothing. Nothing.
Is that what prompted you to move to Washington to seek better resources and care there?
Yes. I don't, because I did not want to leave Guam, but because my disability it was a sudden, right? Especially the loss of your eyesight. It was like, okay, and I wasn't ready to give up on my life. I still wanted to do things. And it's like, how do I function now with my new life? And here, it's what it is like you, when you go and you're trying to apply for the services, it's, okay, we're going to help you look for a job right away. But they don't ask the question of, how are you doing mentally and emotionally? Knowing that you just lost your eyesight, right? And maybe not, I'm only speaking for the blind because I'm blind. I don't know for other disabilities, but of course, it's not like one disability is better than the other, or because it depends on you. It's how you work it, right? How you work it. But being blind is also it's a harder level because you can't see anything at all, right? I mean, and it's also different if you could see a little bit or maybe see out of one eye. But when you're totally blind, that just brings you to another level, right? And so anyhow, I figured, and that's why, when I finally accepted my disability, I remember just putting my head one time down and just saying, okay, God, if this is your plan for me, I accept. But I'm asking you if you could just please carry me and help me to walk forward, move forward, and go forward. So here I am 25 years later, right? And I remember that one simple prayer. And because I'm not knowing when I don't have my parents anymore. So it's like, where do I go from here? So a friend of mine says, I don't know what there is in Washington, but if you want to go, let's go. And we'll, And so before I made my move to Washington, I was because my dad at that time was still alive. But my dad also he died also from a massive cardiac arrest, and it was a sudden one. Yeah. And that's what my mom died too, but that was back in 99. And so anyhow, I said, okay. So after my dad ends up passing away, because I didn't want to leave my dad. And it was hard to, take care of him in the sense of, because he wouldn't let me. Because here, I can honestly tell you, we come from a beautiful culture. There's no doubt about that. We come from an amazing culture. And I guess because being here and then being in the States for a long time. But we also have a very disabling culture because we tend to get sheltered a lot. We tend to have families and friends that want to do things for you when you become, when you get struck with a disability. And it's wonderful because the care and the love is there, but then it also kind of makes us a lot more disabled because then we tend to forget how to do things because things are always being done for us, which is why I had to kind of like challenge my dad or fight him and tell him like, okay, this is what I need for you to remember, Dad. What if you're not here? What if nobody is around here? How am I going to know where to look for food in the refrigerator? How am I going to know how to open a can if I needed to? How am I going to know how to get from here? Just all those questions. And so my dad, he thought about it. But I understand because, of course, any parent, it's going to be hard for them, for their child to have a disability, right? And so I just told him, I said, I'm going to fight you on this. I really am going to fight you. And you know what I kept doing was I kept showing him that I could do it. And I started off cooking in an electric wok because he didn't want me to touch the gas burner. And of course I understand because, and I was kind of scared in the beginning, but I was like, I just kind of stood far and I would just, turn the knob like, okay, please, Lord, please, guide me here. And of course I always pray. Doesn't matter before touching anything because I'm like scared. And even when I started to cut, I had to cut real slow in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, my dad will always tell me, you better not touch the gas burner, okay? And I'll be like, okay.
Like, touch it.
Yeah. And then when he leaves, I'm just like,
straight to cooking.
Go
chop,
straight
chop,
to
chop.
cooking, yeah. So I had to teach myself in that sense, And so when he'd come home, he'd be like, oh, who cooked? And he'll ask me, is it my brother, next door? I'll be like, no. He goes, how about, my sister-in-law? I said, no. Did one of the aunties come by? I said, no. And then I had to tell him, I was the one. So what I had to do was have him sit down at the kitchen table. I took the electric wok, I put it in front of him, and I said, watch me. And if I make a mistake, let me make it so I know how to fix it. So he was like, so of course I was making fried rice at the time. So I took the bottle of soy sauce, just getting all my stuff ready. And then he goes, watch it. And I said, I didn't even pour down the soy sauce. I didn't even do it. And then he goes, watch it, you're going to get burned. I said, I didn't even turn on the wok yet. So it's little things like that, right? And I understand. I mean, the overprotectiveness is with good intentions, right? It's just that, like for me, he always told me, you have to have your mother's strength, because my mom was also amputated. She had very low vision because she had diabetes as well, but she did not ever give up. She was just like, I'm going to do it. So she was always fighting. She was going to show you she could do it with one leg. So I was just like, oh my God. And he goes, you do have your mom's spirit, And so I showed him how to make it, how I was doing it. And he just sat there and he watched. And so I said, I'm going to do this one more time. I did it twice. And when he started to see me that I was able to handle it, then he started, okay, I think I can let you go. And I said, yeah, just let me go. Then, because I told him, I said, we can't be eating sandwiches every day, right? And he's like, yeah, that's right, because he doesn't even like to eat sandwiches. So, yeah. So once he watched me doing what I was doing, then he slowly started to weave away. And then always still made sure. And I do have to tell you, I never knew that going into the culinary was going to be a thing for me. I was just like, I just wanted to cook, so that way you know how to survive. I'm not going to ever be hungry, throw in whatever and just ask God to bless it. And that's what I did. And so what happened was when I went to Washington, when I was getting ready to go to Washington, I ended up having to stay back because I ended up having to go to the Philippines for an open heart surgery.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was supposed to just get an angiogram because I started to have chest pains again. So they were going to send me out to California, but it was my dad just died, months before then, and I said, "There's no way I can afford to go to California." And so the doctor said, "Would you like to go to the Philippines?" I said, "Sure. Why not?" So I went, and so they did the testing, and sure enough, I thought I was just going to have simple fix, and then come back home to Guam. And then after the testing, they said, "We need to open you." I was like, oh my gosh. So I ended up staying in the Philippines, went from a 1 week to a 1 month stay. Yeah. So as soon as I recuperated from that, I came back home to Guam. My best friends had taken care of me. And then I waited 2 months to recover. And then I said, I'm going to go. It was time. I just felt it in me that it was time to go. Because I wasn't getting any services here.
Right.
So I said, there's no way. And my brother says, why don't you leave? Why don't you just leave Guam and go out to the States and just see what they have? And sure enough, I, went out. The minute I got my apartment there with my friend, the first thing I did was I made sure that we had a house phone and contacted the operator. And as soon as I contacted, the operator has never done this before. But I said, okay, ma'am, I am totally blind. I had just moved here to Spokane, Washington. I just need your help. Can you please help me to find anything dealing with the blind here in the state of Washington, in Spokane, right? The lady was so nice. She gave me 6 numbers. And I told her, I said, I have a recorder because this is how I, keep, we didn't have the computers yet. I had no training, no nothing. Only, you guys know what the cassette tapes are, right?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. And so, yeah, I use it. And she goes, okay. So I put her on speaker and recorded all the numbers. It wasn't until the 4th number was where it landed me at the right place, which was Department of Services for the Blind. I even ended up in one of the organizations for aging and blindness. I ended up in the group with the people that were 80s and 90s. I was like, oh. My friend goes, they look manamko. And I said, how manamko? And then she goes, very manamko. I said, okay, very manamko. And she's like, yeah. So the president asked me at the time, where are you from? I said, Guam. And then he goes, you sound so young. And I said, yeah. And they said, how old are you? I said, oh, I'm in my 30s, right, at the time. And he goes, oh, you're in your 30s? I said, yes. And he goes, oh, honey, I think you're not in the right group. And I said, why? What group? What group are you talking about? And he goes, I said, how old is this group for? He goes, oh, we're like in our 80s and 90s. I said, oh, wow. So they said, let's give you another place to look for. And then finally they sent me to the other, because over there, they also have different age groups that you can go to. And it was just, so I finally found that support group, and it was nice. In that support group, they had where whoever was caring for you or whoever was your sighted guide, doesn't matter, anybody that was close to you and was around you, they had a thing where they wanted to know how you felt. Because they asked us how we felt mentally and emotionally, And so all of these things here that I have learned is what I bring back here to our island to give back and help them. Because I'm just taking my experiences, right? Because I really had to learn. It's been an amazing journey. And especially going out to Washington, not knowing what to expect. And I do have to say that leaving Guam, as much as I didn't want to, was one of the best things that I could have done for myself. Because if I didn't do it, I wouldn't be sitting right here with you guys today. Yeah. I wouldn't be here making a difference in 11 of those blind participants I've been working on. And all it is just taking my experiences. I've always served in the community here in Guam, even in my sighted life. In the church, over at San Vicente, San Roque, and Barrigada, a lot of youth ministry. I also, working at George Washington High School, I was their class advisor. From class of 93 when they were sophomores and followed all the way until I had to medically retire. Yeah, and so So it's just really been something. And so when I went in Washington, when I went there, and when I got signed up for the School for the Blind, it's a Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, intense training. Intense, and it doesn't, I don't mean to make that sound intimidating, but it's more of teaching you life skills, right? Kitchen skills. So in there, I learned computers, keyboarding, mobility, home economics, braille, wood shop, and then they also have coping and managing with your blindness, and then career employment if you want to work, and they train you for all of those things. And when you come from a small island, I mean, Nevaeh, you've been to Washington.
Yes.
You know what it looks like. You've been, I'm sure, down to downtown Seattle.
Yes.
I want you to just close your eyes for a second and just picture being blind walking down in downtown Seattle.
Yeah, there are a lot of hills, and it's very steep, and the rain, it's slippery.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they teach you, I'm very grateful though for it, and my hopes and my dreams are to maybe, not maybe, but to someday bring, even if it's a small center like that here to Guam, where we can train, because even in the 6 months that I have been here, I can tell you 20 blind people. That's not including the ones that contacted me after the 5K event, because they never knew about it, right? They never knew that there's, and then being able to go and to attend that event and seeing other young. This is the first time I've seen a young group of blind individuals. Because when I became blind, a lot of them were around my age and older. This is the first time that's why I call them my kids, because like I said, the youngest one is 14 and the oldest one is 33. Yeah. And so, you kind of learn to work with each of them, and everybody's scared. Everybody is got anxiety. Everybody's got, they don't know that's, and trying to teach them how to be independent comes with confidence. And a lot of them had lacked that confidence until we started doing the cooking classes and navigating around the kitchen, learning different things. And so the way I teach them is, putting things in their hand, asking if they're familiar with it. If they're not, then I, help them to understand product identification with fruits and vegetables and just ingredients in general, right? So that's what I have with them today. But going back, I've had my share of being let down, turned down, and put down. And so what had happened was, after I got done at the School for the Blind, I went from being the one that's the most scared, because I'm the only one from Guam, from a small island. Everybody else is from different parts of the world getting the training there. I was like, man, I bet you I'm going to be the dumb one here. But I meant that in the sense of like, man, because I've never lived out in the States before.
Very different.
It's very different, and so it's like, but I was also very blessed with such a diverse group. It was like we had one Japanese, we had one Korean, we had like one from each country. I was like, we can roll. Then I had a Samoan friend and a Hawaiian friend. I was like, hey, brother. And they're like, hey, sister. And I was like, wow. So it was amazing because we all got along. Everybody. It was just like, it was amazing. And I cried the first week I was there at the School for the Blind, because no families, no friends. Nobody you knew. These were people that were just coming in to get the same training as you. My roommate was from Illinois. She had tunnel vision, retinitis pigmentosa. And she was actually, when I was at the School for the Blind, I locked my bedroom door for the first week. Because I was like, oh my God, I can't see. I'm here with somebody you don't even know, And I was like, all right, Lord, it's in your hands. So I am the first blind chef and the first blind person to ever attend Western Culinary Institute in Portland, Oregon. They have never, and that's one of the top schools. But I was also turned down by Seattle Culinary Institute and even Small Kitchens because they actually, because the minute they heard I was blind, they didn't want to take me. So Western took me in, and they actually, everything that everybody, there was 999 cited, and I'm the 1,000, the one of the 1,000 that was the blind one. But I went through the whole course. I did have a lot of tears, but I also had a lot of joys because I came out as I graduated with honors, and being the first blind. They had all kinds of other disabilities, but they never had a blind until I came in. And up to this day, I still hold the blind position.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And I just thought I'd throw this into you guys so they assign you lockers, or they just kind of give you the lockers. You don't pick it.
Yeah.
They took me to my locker, and guess what my locker number was?
999.
671.
Oh wow.
Yeah. 671.
It's
So
meant to be.
yeah. So anyhow, I just wanted to just share with you guys that going through that whole thing there and getting my certification in the culinary arts basically was just to expand my knowledge. Because even for them, they questioned me. They were just like, "How would you know all the spices?" I said, "Well, you don't just have to just be blind. I mean, you could be sighted and not know it because you have to read it. So we have to use all our senses. Besides, I work with 30 at home. What's 20 more?" And the chef was like, "Oh my gosh, did she just say that to us?" Because you know why? It was something I knew what I wanted with why I'm here today. Because I know what I want. I know what I can do. And I will not let anybody step on my neck because I'm blind. Because my journey has really brought me up to this. And that's also what I'm teaching our kids here. And it's nice because, so I said, all right, we're going to do, they don't want, not that they don't really want to focus on tomorrow foods. They want, Auntie Jack, we want to learn other, foods. And when you do, and it is important because some of them couldn't tell the difference between a zucchini and a cucumber. So those are the things that I'm trying to help them with because, so that they know it. I mean, they don't even know what a cauliflower is between the whole head and when you give them a piece. They know the piece, they don't know the head. Yeah, so imagine that, right? For us, because we can see it. The biggest thing that even pushed me was, that when you're teaching an 11-year-old boy who's blind, that actually he loves grilled cheese, and his grandparents tried to teach him, and there was no way they can get him to touch that stove. And I come along and help him on a skillet. That boy went from flipping only 1 grilled cheese to flipping 4, making 25 grilled cheese, walking out with the biggest smile. His grandfather cried. He goes, I don't know. And it's because sometimes it's easier to learn, right, from another person who you have something in common with. And so that's actually what inspired me to even teach.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're taking all of the curveballs that life threw at you. And I know you mentioned you left Guam to Washington for quite a few years, and now you're back, and you're still seeing the same lack of resources. So as we close out the podcast, you have a final, I guess, call to action to our community regarding this.
Yeah. Well, so one of my slogans or mottos that I've always had just since even seeing my life a little bit much more clearer is a sight loss is a vision gained. That has always been my thing, and which is, it's about giving us a chance, right? Giving us a chance, because imagine if people without a disability are struggling in life. I mean, even to get a job or even just to make it in life. Imagine individuals with disabilities. How hard can it be to be able to sit down and listen to a person who just became blind, wanting to get up and go out and make a difference in his or her life by going out to work and saying, okay, let me do the research then. I don't know the answer right now, but at least let me do the research. But even for that, we don't get that. If you're telling me I don't know, something is wrong. Maybe you can say, I don't know, but please add, let me look into it. And then come back. Don't make I don't know what the new term is, whether it's consumer, whether it's a client, or whether it's a participant, whatever it may be. Wait 8 months to find out you're eligible for services. 8 months. Can you imagine that? 8 months. Someone who comes in 5 years blind, comes in, signs up, and then you have to wait 8 months to be told you're eligible for services. For me, I'm here because I know the hardship of that. I know what it's like to start from scratch. I know what it's like to start from the bottom. I don't want to see that in our young. I'm not trying to fix everybody's problem because I cannot, but at least something. And even coming here and doing this cooking, this mission here, the confidence that they have, these kids are standing tall and proud with great humbleness because now they know I can go in and demand what I want, what I need, because now they know they have rights. And that's also another thing that we're teaching them, how to advocate for themselves. Why do we need to leave our island? Why do we need to leave our island? I didn't want to leave, but I had to. And if I didn't leave, I won't be here. And I just want to take that experience and help here. That's why I don't only keep our blind participants within the blind arena or just within the disability arena. I am getting them out into the community so it can make our people of Guam know that individuals with disabilities, there's things that they can do out there. Maybe a company or maybe an organization or something can offer and help with the services here, the agencies, right? On really sitting down and asking them, how do they feel mentally and emotionally? And most especially when they get struck with a disability all of a sudden. Because what if that is your brother, your sister, your son, your daughter, your grandchild, your best friend, your mother, your father, right? Why do we need to? I want to come back. I am going to come back, by the way. But I live in Washington, because I made that my home as well, because it worked out for me. There's so many things I want to share here in our island. We've been in the 6 months, and I mean this in great humbleness. I stand proud because I was able to showcase with them, teach them, and walk right side along with them. And there's some parents I have to educate as well because they don't want to let their child go. The problem is you have to remember, what if you're not there someday? Mm-hmm. What is he or she going to do? How are they going to wash their clothes? How are they going to go in the refrigerator and look for their meal? It's the simple things, but those are going to make a big difference in their life, right? Mm-hmm. And so many of them, we see it now. They went from not even wanting to touch a knife to now cutting up vegetables and preparing foods for their families. Now when they prepare foods, we sit down, before it's prepare the food, balutan, take it home. Now we sit down and have a meal together. Aww. Isn't that something? You know that you're making progress already when you see the attitudes change. And the attitudes change to positivity. There's no negativity in our group, and everybody, I'm telling you, we have some people that say, you want to look for them blind folks? Listen to the laughing. Because that's all we do, and we are just always cracking up blind jokes with each other. And we're seeing that because they're living, and I'm teaching them that. You are living, you're not existing. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. And we have this thing in our shirts, it's called, it's the word love. Mm-hmm. And the word love for us stands for let our vision explore. Mm-hmm. And I said, yeah. You hold that to you and you get up and you go out and shake your booty and let them know. And so you may know our group is called See What's Cooking. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's with capital S, capital E, capital E. And it's not just see what's cooking with the food, but see what's cooking means look what I'm doing in life now.
And look what you're doing in your life. And thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, and especially as we celebrate Disability Awareness Month. And you're there at every step of the way with those kids as well.
Definitely.
So thank you so much for coming here,
thank
Jackie.
you. Well, thank you very much. Yes, and thank you guys so much for having us. And I also, real quick, if you can just put this in, want you guys to know, we've done all these things with the cooking, and we're going to be doing an eating in the dark and cooking in the dark, and we'll let you know. That's going to be in our future project. The kids are already all prepared for that. I'm going to be leaving, but I will be back because I got to settle some things, take care of some things in Washington State, and then come back. And then after that, if you guys don't know this, we also play beat baseball for the blind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that's also another one that we actually started. We got late into because the equipment just came in like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm going to do is reach out to other communities and organizations, and they can form a team, and they will challenge us under blindfolds.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, and it's done.
Wow.
Yeah, because I played for a team in Washington, and that's another one that I'm bringing back home.
Oh,
yeah,
awesome.
nice.
So you guys heard it right here. Look forward to 2 very cool events. And until then, we'll see you guys next time.
Adios.
Bye.
Off the Record is part of the KUAM Podcast Network. Watch more episodes on the KUAM News YouTube channel and listen on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.